Scotty. Obviously, Sinners came out this summer. A lot of talk about vampire movies. So I decided, hey, let me go back and watch some and figure out what my actual top five vampire movies will be. Got my top five. You got your top five. We're going to talk about it. Go ahead and like, sub, comment in the video. Let us know your top five below, and let's jump into it. So, Scotty, talking vampire movies now. And I'll speak for my list personally. I try to stay grounded, keep away from the action movie, try to just, humans, vampires, and let's go from there. So, you want to start with your fifth, or you want me to start with my fifth?
No, start with your fifth. You just gave your spiel how you hate vampire movies that aren't grounded.
And funny enough, the first one I have on my list is not grounded at all. This is a lot of fun, and I had to put it on my list. At number five, I got Van Helsing. Hugh Jackman back in the day. I have to say, man, this is one of the most fun movies I think I've seen in a while. And it's one of those that every time I catch it, I see it on, I got to watch the whole thing. Obviously, this is more than just Dracula, but he's the main villain here. Hugh Jackman goes out, he teams up with Kate Beckinsale because they're killing off her family. And they're like, yo, they can't defeat these vampires. They need some help. Van Helsing, we're sending you out there. This movie is just a ton of fun, man. Frankenstein, Wolfman, all the usual suspects are in here, but this movie it's just fun. Every time I see it, Hugh Jackman, they carry the pace. There's a lot of humor. The action, obviously, if you look back, the CG doesn't work that well. It's obviously pretty dated at this point. Sometimes it looks like a video game, but I think the cast does a great job here, and I think this movie is very self-aware, and it's just fun. So that made the top five on my list.
Yeah, it is fun, and we actually saw that in theaters together when we were kids. I watched it too. I thought it was good. As far as vampire lore, I thought it was cool too. You had the Harker in there. You had Van Helsing, like you said. It's like a whole monster movie, and Dracula had all the sauce.
It's just a good time. So I had to put it up there. If you want a fun vampire movie, Van Helsing definitely got to be around the top of your list.
All right, and my number five one, Fright Night. Fright Night was like, as far as movies go, as far as movies in general go, I love the fact that I know who the villain is from the very first part of the movie. That's hard to do. That's hard to have the villain show in the beginning and you know everything about him and the movie still be good. And as far as a vampire lore, this dude is stealthy when he wants to be. He's damn near trying to take over the whole town. And he's just the neighbor next door. I thought it was really well written. I thought the humor was good. I thought the action was great. I thought the stakes were high. I enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was great. I had no problem with that at all. And I saw that in theaters the day it came out. And I thought it was going to be bad. I saw the original one. I thought that was great. I said, oh, this is going to be terrible. It's got the trailer came out. And I said, it's already showing Colin Farrell do all stuff. I thought it was going to be like a mystery working up to it. I think that was like perfectly executed as a vampire movie. Number five, not my favorite, but I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, and actually, funny enough, that's actually my number four is Fright Night on my list. So we did have one. If I'm with you, I think it's a very well executed movie. Honestly, I saw this at home. I honestly was like, oh, Fright Night. Didn't have high expectations for it. I watched it at home the first time. Colin Farrell's in it. I always forget his name. Chekhov. What is his name? Anton Yelchin. There we go. Anton Yelchin. So he's in there. R.I.P. to him. But yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. I mean, Colin Farrell, he's smooth, he's charismatic in here, so you can see how he gets people to come over, people to trust him. And obviously, this movie just is a turning point where it's funny enough. Anton Yelchin's friend McLovin, he's on him like, your neighbor's a vampire. You don't believe me, blah blah blah. Goes out there to figure out himself, and of course he's right. And then the movie just turns on his head as he blows up his house. And it's like, all right, you wanna call it the vampire? Well, I'm here now. And the action goes from there. I think this movie executes a lot of things. Comedy is really good. Obviously, the action is good. So going down the line of vampire lore. So definitely, I thought it was a really fun movie.
All right, section number four. My number four is Interview with a Vampire with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. This is straight up vampire lore. You get to learn a history about them because Brad Pitt knows nothing about vampires at all. So you get to learn the history of, the guy that bit him just a little bit. It's based off a book where they give you basically all the history. You get to go to a different, I think they go to a different country. Maybe it might be a different country to find out about other vampires. They think they might be the only ones. You get to see what happens when they turn people. You get to see vampire infighting. Like I think that was a really well executed movie. It's not as good as I think as the show, but in the movie they couldn't do certain things because the vampires clearly were bisexual. You couldn't really do that in movies back then, or even in books back then. So they had to heavily allude to it. But it's a very good vampire movie and also a pretty good romance movie. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's at the bottom where it should be, right next to Fright Night. But I put it a little bit over Fright Night just because like the extra time we get learning about vampires in general, which I think is important in a vampire movie. So you're not just throwing a vampire at the heroes. You get to actually learn about the so-called villains.
Yeah, so actually, I have not seen Interview with the Vampire, the movie.
Trash.
I know it has all the heartthrobs in there. I mean, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. I think Antonio Banderas is in there too.
He is, yeah. He's the other
Yeah,
vampire.
okay, so yeah. So I know about it, but but of course we talked about it. We've seen the show Interview with the Vampire, which as far as the lore goes, it's one of my favorite probably vampire shows that's out there. I mean, I haven't seen too many of it. I'm not a Vampire Diaries of a person. I didn't see those long running shows, but as far as Interview with the Vampire, if it's anything like the movie, I mean, it's fantastic, and I really like that show. So definitely have to watch it. But I've heard about it, so I see why it's made its way onto your list. So for me, back to me, at number 3, man. I went down a line of all these 80 movies. I haven't seen 80s and 90s vampire because there's a ton of them out there. You talk about Lost Boys, Near Dark, all of those, which would be in my honorable mentions. But I had to go from Dusk Till Dawn. Robert Rodriguez directs this. I mean, this is an absolute classic. Quentin Tarantino, George Clooney, the two brothers that they're just committed a crime, robbed a bank. They're on the run. They run into a family and they're trying to cross the border. Obviously, when they cross the border, they're waiting out. And of course, they get jumped by a bar full of vampires. Reason this is kind of in the middle of my list. So I think the stuff before the vampire stuff in this movie is probably the strongest part. I mean, there's a lot of thriller in there of like you don't know what's going to happen with these brothers. They run into this family, they're holding them hostage. I think the acting is really good. Quentin Tarantino, you know him as a director. This is probably the best I've seen him as an actor, probably in any movie. And I mean, it's really some of his script in the first half of this movie. So it's probably the best I've seen him. George Clooney, he's amazing. And this movie is one of those where it's one of those classic twists where, today we talk about this all the time. They give away everything in the trailer. Absolutely everything. Back in the day when they used to do these trailers, you had no idea it's going to turn into a vampire movie. And when it does, you're like, whoa, like where did that come from? Okay, now I'm in a different movie. So I think the vampire stuff isn't as strong as here, but I think this is a really good movie. It's really fun. And then later on, like vampire stuff comes in, it's a lot of action. It's fun. And I think all the way through, it's a really good watch. So from Dusk Till Dawn and then Salma Hayek, got to mention her. Oh my God, just if you haven't seen the scene, Salma Hayek comes out. I don't care if you don't watch the movie, just watch her. She'll come out and debut herself. So it's a really fun movie. I've watched it. I can watch it over and over again. So it firmly plants itself as number 3 on my list.
Yeah, I agree. Like I didn't see that movie, I think, until you showed it when I came to visit. And I was hooked on it from the moment I saw them, and you just told me a little snippet of the story. I said, ooh, this is interesting. Like it caught my attention right away. So I'm gonna have to watch that eventually from the beginning. But just from when they rolled up to, it was Mexico, right?
Yeah, they crossed Mexico.
Just when they rolled up to when they open up, when they go into the bar, I was already hooked on it. I said, this is really entertaining. And the acting, like as you said, the acting from everybody in the movie was good. And the action for that movie being so old, action really ain't that bad.
No, it's not bad at all. It's really fun. It's just that drama in the first half is. I think the criticism I would give is it doesn't quite transition into that second half. It kind of gets a little more Robert Rodriguez is going to get action. It's going to get crazy. It just had that kind of serious thriller tone in that first half. It doesn't quite carry over. But I think that's part of the fun. It's like you don't expect the movie to go there. And you're like, what is this? Okay, well, I'm here now. Let me see what's going to happen. So I think it's a lot of fun. But again, once you watch that first half, there's a lot of great scenes in there that you're like, man, like this is peak filmmaking, and this is why, like, as good as this movie is, even taking the vampire stuff out, it's a great movie. You add that in, it was gonna make any vampire list because it is a classic.
Yeah, I agree. That was good. Number 3, Vampire Hunter D is a Vampire Hunter D 1 and 2, great movies. Like this is the best vampire animated film I have ever seen. Besides like besides Hellsing Ultimate, which is a OVA. But this movie, it's got drama, it's got romance. There's no Dracula in it. They have a Dracula like figure, but basically this is about Dracula's son, and Dracula's son is a half vampire, half human. And he's protecting humans. It's kind of in like a kind of not a post-apocalyptic world, but it's definitely like into the far into the future where um that people use gold for currency. Everybody has high tech stuff, and it's just about him. He's on a bounty hunter mission to find this girl that the father thinks has been kidnapped by a vampire, and then you find there's a whole bunch of twists, and then you meet other vampire hunters, and each vampire hunter has a different special ability or special weapon, as you know animes usually do. That story alone, with if you take most of the action out of it, that is a great vampire film, because every step of the way you're learning about vampires from thousands of years ago to the future. You're learning everything you need to know about vampires. And I really wish they would have made a sequel to that movie, because that is a 10 out of 10. There is highly recommend it to you, the first one and the second one. I've never seen an animated vampire film do what they did as far as story goes. It's really amazing. I would have put that higher, but like I said, it's animated, so animation is not everybody's cup of tea.
Fair enough. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but definitely you sold me on. I definitely gotta check it out, because I haven't seen too many vampire animated movies really in my list. I wonder if I watch it, would it crack my top five here? As I'm
Mhm.
seeing, Van Helsing might as well be animated, but it's not.
Yeah. I think it would go high on your list if you watched it and like really sat down and watched. I think it would go high on your list.
All right, fair enough. Okay, we've made it. So recapping my top five here. I had Van Helsing at five. I'm at Fright Night at four, and Dust Till Dawn is at number three. Now at number two, I'd say this is the better version of Dust Till Dawn. I had a hard time not putting this number one, because I think it might be the best movie on my list, but I don't know if it's the best vampire movie on my list. So at number two, Sinners. We know Sinners. Ryan Coogler, Michael B.
Mhm.
Jordan, came out just this summer. I think this movie is fantastic, and you can see here, if you watch From Dusk Till Dawn, which was a big inspiration on this movie, you can literally see like, okay, I see where this came from, and I see where you took the weaknesses in Dusk Till Dawn and you made them a little bit, or I'd say a lot better, really, as far as the vampire stuff goes. I think the transition is much better, but I think it sets off in a movie where in the first half of the movie you see a vampire, it's coming, but you're like, I'm so hooked on this story that, like, I just want to see where this goes. Even the vampires would never show up. And then
Mhm.
when they do, I think that transition is much, much better into the lore and learning about him. And there's some fantastic scenes with the vampire in this movie. Again, Sinner's a fantastic movie. We talked about it all summer. It's a
Mhm.
fantastic movie. Michael B. Jordan's great playing two roles. I mean, Haley Steinfeld, a slew of actors in here. The music is great. It's also a musical, which adds to it.
Mhm.
I think the elements in here, even if you took the vampire stuff off, would be great. But adding in the vampire, the way they blended it, and going all the way to the end and post credit, I mean, I think
Mhm.
it's just a fantastic movie. So this again might be the best movie on my list. I'd say again here, the vampire stuff again is probably maybe the weakest part of this movie,
Yeah.
but it's a lot better than From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. Some people would argue From Dusk Till Dawn is better. I think it's good. It wouldn't make my top five, but I do think it's good. And my top two and top one, I had a hard time going through which one should be top one or two. So these could be really interchangeable for me. But number two, I gotta go with Underworld. Particularly, I would go with Underworld, the very first one, but I would just this was the second one or the first one. I mean, that is like all vampire lore right there. You get to go and see flashbacks and hear stories about like actual stuff that was in books, like the vampires taking care of the vampire elders when they sleep. They're in an endless war against the Lycans. You get to get story of everything of the vampires, how they came to be. You get the story of the very first vampire, how he came to be, how what happened with his sons. You get to learn how the entire vampire race was created, what they can do, and you get to see how they evolved into the future. And you really get to see this. I think this is one of the best displays of vampire ability that we've seen. Like this or Blade, like vampires are jumping off skyscrapers, land on the ground, and just brushing the shoulders off, saying, "Yeah, all right, we're good." And that's the way it should be. Like, there's not a whole bunch of flight. There's only one vampire that can fly. But as far as abilities go, until they get to like number 4, number 1, 2, and 3 is straight up like old school vampire stuff blended in with, hey, this is how vampires would be if they were in the late 2000s. I enjoyed. I just watched that whole series again, start to finish, and there was nothing to not enjoy until like maybe the 4th one was a little bit shaky. But as far as vampire, straight up vampire lore, yeah, I got to put that on number 2 or 1. I got to.
Yeah, Underworld, obviously. No, it kind of grew up Underworld a little bit. I haven't seen it in a while, but certainly with the action and the vampire stuff, it's definitely a really good series. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. I try to keep my list a little more grounded, so that's why Underworld, or I don't want to ruin my first one, but some of more of those types of movies didn't quite make it. But I've never watched Underworld and been like, man, except maybe for that last one that got a little crazy, that just doesn't feel like it belongs in the series. The other ones were fantastic movies and a lot of fun. So I definitely with you there. Underworld definitely belongs on your vampire list if that more action type stuff is your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we made it to the top of my list. So Sinners was my number 2. It was hard to not put that at number 1, but like I said, I didn't think it was nearly the best vampire movie on my list. So at number 1, if you've seen it, this is a combination of 2 movies. So I'm just gonna name both titles because they're pretty much the same thing. It's a combination of Let Me In / Let the Right One In. So if you haven't seen it, Let Me In follows. Actually, Chloe Grace Moretz is in the remake, which Let Me In is the remake basically, but it's the same movie, almost shot for shot. But Let Me In, basically, Chloe Grace Moretz, she comes and moves into this town, and we follow this little boy as he goes to school. He comes back, he sees his neighbor moving in, and like this kid, obviously he's going through it a little bit. He gets bullied at school. He's got to deal with the typical bullies. But also too, he's in a broken house. He doesn't, his parents aren't really around. He's with his mom, and they do it in both movies where his mom and his dad are separated. He gets to talk to them, but he has no one really to branch out to. He's kind of isolated in this apartment, and really there's no other kids around. Obviously, he sees this little girl come and move in, and he's like, oh, okay, like somebody I could actually maybe talk to or make friends with, whatever it would be. So Chloe Grace Moretz moves in, and she comes in there and basically like, hey, we can't be friends. Like, oh, what do you mean? I don't know if I want to be your friend anyway. But eventually start to hang around. They grow close. Come to find out, she's a vampire. I think this movie does a lot of fantastic things, and almost you can watch them both as one. There's a lot of scenes where you kind of learn that they have this older person taking care of them. Chloe Grace Moretz has this older person taking care of her, and you come to realize like that's somebody she met when they were very young, and like he's just been with her all this time because she doesn't age. She's just kind of stuck in his body, and she doesn't really even admit to being a vampire. She's just like I'm just a thing. Like I'm not a girl. I'm not, I'm just a thing. But I think this is one of the better love stories of a vampire movie as these kids get together and grow close, and obviously you see relationship building. I think you see a coming of age story of a kid. He's kind of in isolation. He's learning to kind of deal with what it is, grow up, and things like that. I mean, this I don't want to spoil it for everybody if you haven't seen it, but Rotten Tomatoes, Let the Right One In, which is the original, I think ranks at like 97, 98, and 90 on the critic score. It's up there. But Let Me In, again, as the remake is English, so it might be easier for people to watch. Right up there again. I think this movie, shot for shot, there's some great scenes. There's a great action scene at the end, which is like crazy. You don't really see it coming. It's not a lot of action in this movie, but when it does come, you're like, oh, holy shit, like what is going on here? It's crazy, and it kind of leads up and builds up to that. So yeah, and almost saying there's not a lot of love stories that end happily in vampire movies, but this is one where you're like, okay, like I don't know if this is a good thing, but at least these kids have built this relationship. You can see it going from there. So I think it's a fantastic movie, vampire movie all around, very grounded, very in isolation. Yeah, I think it's just a fantastic movie, to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't remember the remake so much, except I remember it was a little bit slower paced, but it was grounded. I remember the first one, which is really good. I heard good things about it. I'll have to watch it again. I forgot Chloe Grace Moretz was the star of the movie. I really forgot about it. But I went to watch it again. I'll take your word for it for now, and I'll put it on my list to watch. Mine.
I think it's preferably if you watch them both. I think they add in kind of scenes like there's a scene here, a scene there that just make it a little bit better. So I kind of combine them into one. It's like that fleshes out something that we don't see in the other one, but it could be in there because it's interchangeable.
And my number one is Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. Yeah. It had an all-star cast. It had Keanu Reeves as John Harker. It had Anthony Hopkins as what's his name? Van Helsing. Gary Oldman, who is like maybe Commissioner Gordon and stuff like that. And he was working with Anthony Hopkins on the Hannibal movies. Like he was Dracula. Winona Ryder was in it. It was an all-star cast, and the story was good. It was a straight up Dracula movie, straight up from like the old books. It was great. I enjoyed every minute of it. Even today, I still enjoy it. Gary Oldman is straight up over the top as Dracula. Like it's hilarious at times, and then it gets dark sometimes. There's also a good romance in there. The movie has almost everything you need in it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when it feels like Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins. You can swap those guys. Be like, all right, you play Van Helsing, you play Dracula. Yep. I'm very. I just think of Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal was not able to be a human Dracula. So I'm like, hey, how did he not get the Dracula role?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I enjoy all these. Really, I can change like to the top. All these out of the 10 we just named are good movies. Not a single bad movie on the list. All entertaining, all have decent storylines. So, like this is a solid list. I expected you to put Blade in there. I was waiting for Blade 2 to come out, Jazz.
Yeah, Blade 2 was not gonna. Again, I tried to stay as grounded as I could on straight vampire movies. The Blade could be a superhero movie, action movie. A lot of those other elements just play in. I feel like with the ones I name, other than Van Helsing, which might as well be a superhero movie. The other ones are pretty much humans trying to deal with vampires and being like, hey, man, other than Dusk Till Dawn, which they might as well be superhuman the way they're taking these vampires apart. Yeah. Everyone else is like, I don't know what to do, man. We got to figure it out, or like some circumstances we got to work around and really think about what we're going to do here because we are outmatched. And also, too, that it's also, too, why Let Me In is probably at the top of my list because it's so much different. It's almost like, and again, it's kind of a crime movie as well of like, of course, when a vampire comes in, people are going to come up missing. And in Let Me In, they have a detective that's on the case trying to figure out, what is going on and why people are coming up missing and tracking them down. It's so many components of those. But I think all these movies are fun. I think they're worth the watch. And I think you get a lot of those elements of fun, drama, kind of really thriller, really great scenes like the Sinners and Dusk Till Dawn. Some of the most fantastic scenes you'll see in filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. It's a solid list of 10.
Yeah, it's solid. So let us know your list at the bottom. What did we miss? What did we get wrong? What needs to be on our list? And what is on your list? So go ahead and put that in. Again, we're MLF HQ, Minor League Films. Check us out. Kuronocomics on TikTok. Minor League Films everywhere else. Hit that sub button here. I mean, we got plenty of top fives. I'll break down some of these movies, some of the classics. So Lost Boys, Near Dark, all of those I've watched. So I want to review them because they're classic and you can see my likes and dislikes of those. But I mean, it's been a fun little train going down and actually watching vampire movies, sitting down and being like, okay, I'm fully in the lore now and seeing where I would rank them. So that was a lot of fun. Definitely, we got more stuff coming. Scotty, what's coming down the pipeline for you?
We got to talk about the new white Black Panther. That's right, the Caucasian Black Panther.
There we go.
And I've got a whole video on that coming out, breaking down that whole first issue. It's a 6-issue limited series. Don't get mad yet. The writing is a little silly, but we'll go through. We're going to get through it together.
All right, fair enough. Okay. Make sure you sub Minor League Films, MLF HQ at all locations, all that good stuff. Let us know your vampire movies, like the video, sub, all that. Tell your friends. We will catch you next time.